You have everything you thought you wanted, the job you worked for, the relationship you hoped for, the life that looks perfectly fine from the outside. Your bills are paid, your health is decent, people would say you're doing well, and yet there's this hollow feeling sitting in your chest that you can't explain. You wake up and go through the motions, checking off tasks, smiling at the right moments, but inside there's a quiet numbness, an emptiness that makes you wonder, is this it? Is this really all there is? And the most confusing part, you feel guilty for even feeling this way because logically you know you should be happy, you know others have it worse, you know you have no real reason to feel empty, but that knowledge doesn't fill the void, it just makes you feel more alone with it. If this resonates with you, you're not broken, you're not ungrateful, and you're definitely not alone. What you're experiencing has a name, a cause, and most importantly, a path forward. Today, we're going to explore why you feel empty even when life is fine, what's really happening beneath the surface, and how to reconnect with the sense of meaning that's been quietly slipping away. Because here's the truth, this emptiness isn't random, it's not a character defect, it's a response to how we've been taught to live in the modern world. Let me paint you a picture. It's Sunday afternoon, you're sitting on your couch, scrolling through your phone with the TV playing in the background. You've had a perfectly adequate weekend. You saw some friends yesterday. You slept in this morning. You have food in the fridge and a roof over your head. There's nothing objectively wrong with this moment. But as you sit there, you feel nothing, not sadness exactly, not anxiety, just nothing, an emotional flatness that you've become so used to that you almost don't notice it anymore. It's like watching your life happen from behind a glass wall. You're there, but you're not really present. Or maybe it hits you at work. You're in a meeting and someone's talking about quarterly goals, and suddenly you're looking around the room thinking, what am I even doing here? Not because you hate your job, but because nothing about it feels real or meaningful. You're present, but you're not really there. You're functioning, but not living. You contribute, you participate, you do your part, but it all feels hollow, or it happens at night. You lie in bed, exhausted from a day of productivity, and you can't shake the feeling that despite doing everything right, you're somehow missing the point. You've accomplished things, you've been responsible, you've done what you were supposed to do, but deep down, there's this quiet voice asking, so what? What was it all for? You close your eyes and instead of satisfaction, you feel nothing, just emptiness where fulfillment should be. This is the modern emptiness epidemic. It's not dramatic, it's not a breakdown, it's a slow fade into grayscale living, and millions of people are experiencing it right now, lying awake wondering why they feel so disconnected from a life that should feel like enough. The thing is, you're not imagining this, you're not being dramatic, and you're certainly not alone in feeling this way. In fact, research shows that rates of depression, anxiety, and what psychologists call existential emptiness have been rising steadily, particularly among people who have achieved conventional success. So what's actually happening here? Why do so many of us feel empty despite having objectively fine lives? The first piece of this puzzle lies in what psychologists call the achievement fulfillment gap. For most of your life, you've been conditioned to chase external markers of success, get good grades, get into a good school, get a good job, find a partner, buy a home. Check the boxes that society tells you equal a successful life. And here's the thing, many of you have actually done it. You've achieved the goals, you've reached the milestones, but when you got there, something unexpected happened. This happens because of a fundamental misunderstanding about how happiness works. We've been sold a narrative that goes like this: achievement leads to happiness, success leads to fulfillment. If you just get to the next level, then you'll feel complete. But research in positive psychology has consistently shown that this model is backwards. Achievement doesn't create lasting fulfillment. Instead, fulfillment comes from entirely different sources, meaning connection, autonomy, growth, and contribution. These are the things that actually nourish the human soul, and they're often completely separate from the achievements we're chasing. The psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote about this extensively in his book Man's Search for Meaning. He observed that even in the most horrific conditions, people who had a sense of meaning and purpose were more resilient than those who didn't. Meanwhile, people with every material comfort but no sense of purpose often spiraled into despair. His conclusion was radical and simple. Humans are not primarily driven by pleasure or success. We're driven by meaning. We need to know that our existence matters, that we're contributing to something, that our life has significance beyond just our own comfort. When you feel empty despite having a fine life, it's often because you've built a life around achievement rather than meaning. You've optimized for comfort and success rather than purpose and connection, and your psyche knows the difference. Deep down, your brain is wired to seek significance, not just survival. It's wired to ask, does what I'm doing matter? Am I growing? Am I connected? Am I contributing something beyond myself? And when the answer to those questions is unclear or absent, emptiness fills the space where meaning should be. Your soul is essentially saying, this isn't enough. We need more than just comfort and achievement. This is compounded by what researchers call hedonic adaptation. Humans are remarkably good at adapting to their circumstances. When something good happens, like getting a promotion or buying something you wanted, there's a temporary spike in happiness. But within weeks or months, you adapt to your new normal and your baseline happiness returns to where it was before. This is why achievements feel so hollow so quickly. The initial excitement fades and you're left thinking, that's it. Your brain has already adapted, and now it's looking for the next thing. It's like being on a treadmill where no matter how fast you run, you never actually get anywhere that feels satisfying. But here is what makes this even more insidious in modern life. We are living in an era of unprecedented comfort and safety, at least for many people in developed nations. Previous generations had clear external challenges: survival, war, building a life from scratch. Today, many of us don't have those external pressures. We have stability. We have options, we have comfort, and paradoxically, this creates a different kind of crisis, an existential one, when your basic needs are met and there's no clear external challenge demanding your energy. You're forced to confront deeper questions about meaning and purpose, and if you haven't consciously cultivated answers to those questions, you're left with emptiness. You're left wondering what you're actually living for when survival isn't the answer anymore. The second layer of why you feel empty even when life is fine comes down to what I call the disconnection triple threat: disconnection from self, disconnection from others, and disconnection from something larger than yourself. These three forms of disconnection work together to create that profound sense of emptiness that so many people experience. Let's start with disconnection from self. When was the last time you sat in silence with yourself, no distractions, and just listened to what you actually feel, want, or need? For most people, the honest answer is almost never. We've become masters of distraction. We fill every quiet moment with content, scrolling, noise, productivity. We've learned to ignore our inner world because, frankly, it's uncomfortable. It asks us questions we don't know how to answer, so we stay busy. We stay distracted. We stay disconnected from our own emotions, desires, and authentic selves. We have become so good at performing the version of ourselves we think we should be that we have lost touch with who we actually are underneath all of that. This disconnection from self manifests as a kind of emotional numbness when you're constantly overriding your internal signals, telling yourself you should be happy when you're not, pushing through exhaustion because productivity matters more than rest. Ignoring the voice that says this isn't working for me, you gradually lose touch with your emotional landscape. You become a stranger to yourself, and when you don't know who you are or what you truly feel, emptiness is the natural result. How can you feel fulfilled when you're not even connected to your own authentic experience? Then there's disconnection from others, and I'm not talking about being alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel profoundly disconnected. What I'm talking about is genuine intimacy, vulnerability, and being truly seen. In our modern world, we have more connections than ever through social media, but study after study shows we're lonelier than previous generations. We have hundreds of acquaintances, but few people who really know us. We share curated versions of ourselves, but hide our struggles, our doubts, our real internal experience. We show the highlight reel, but keep the behind-the-scenes footage hidden. The research here is striking. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies on happiness, found that close relationships are the strongest predictor of life satisfaction and well-being. Not money, not achievement, not status, deep, authentic relationships. Yet many of us are relationally malnourished. We have surface-level interactions, but lack the deep connection our psyches crave. And this creates a profound emptiness because humans are inherently social creatures. We're wired for belonging. When we don't have it, something fundamental feels missing. We're social beings trying to survive in isolated bubbles. Finally, there's disconnection from something larger than yourself. This is about transcendence, purpose beyond your individual life. For many people historically, this came through religion, community, or a clear sense of contributing to something that would outlast them. But in an increasingly secular, individualistic, and fragmented society, many people lack this connection to something bigger. We've lost the rituals, the communities, the shared narratives that used to provide this sense of transcendent meaning. This matters more than you might think. Research on meaning and purpose shows that people who feel connected to something beyond themselves, whether that's a cause, a community, a belief system, or a creative legacy, report higher levels of life satisfaction and resilience. They have an answer to the question, why does my life matter? That extends beyond their personal comfort or achievement. They have something to live for that's bigger than just their individual happiness. When you lack this connection to something transcendent, life can start to feel small and pointless. You are just going through the motions of your individual existence without a sense that it is part of a larger story or contribution. Everything you do is for yourself, and that's a heavy, isolating burden. It makes your problems feel enormous because they're the only thing that matters. It makes your achievements feel empty because they don't connect to anything beyond your ego. You're the center of your universe, and that universe feels tiny and lonely. This triple disconnection creates a perfect storm of emptiness. You're disconnected from your authentic self, so you don't know what you truly want or feel. You're disconnected from others, so you lack the deep relationships that make life rich. And you're disconnected from something larger, so your daily activities feel meaningless. Add these together and you get that hollow feeling even when everything externally is fine. It's not that any one thing is wrong, it's that everything feels disconnected and therefore empty. Here is the realization that changes everything. The emptiness you feel isn't a problem to be solved with more achievement or more distractions or more self-optimization. It's a signal. It is your psyche's way of telling you that something essential is missing from how you are living. Think about physical pain for a moment. Pain isn't your enemy, it's information. When you touch a hot stove, pain tells you to pull your hand away. When you break a bone, pain tells you something needs attention. Emotional emptiness works the same way. It's not a flaw in you. It's your internal system trying to get your attention, telling you that the life you're living isn't aligned with what you actually need to thrive as a human being. The emptiness is asking you to stop running, to stop distracting, to stop pretending everything is fine when it doesn't feel fine. It's asking you to get honest about what's missing. Is it meaning? Is it connection? Is it authenticity? Is it growth? Is it contribution? Is it all of the above? The emptiness is actually a gift, even though it doesn't feel like one. It's your soul's way of saying, we need to change something here. This path we're on isn't leading where we need to go, and here is what is both terrifying and liberating about this realization. Fixing this emptiness requires something deeper than surface-level changes. It is not about buying something new or achieving something else or finally getting that thing you have been wanting. Those might give you temporary relief, but the emptiness will return because you're treating a symptom, not the cause. You can't shop your way out of existential emptiness. You can't achieve your way into meaning. You can't distract your way into fulfillment. What this requires is a fundamental reorientation of how you approach life. It requires moving from achievement-driven living to meaning-driven living, from image management to authenticity, from surface connections to deep relationships, from passive consumption to active contribution, from living on autopilot to living with intention. It requires asking yourself the hard questions and being willing to act on the answers, even when they're uncomfortable. This sounds overwhelming, I know, but it doesn't have to be. You don't need to quit your job, end your relationships, and move to a monastery. What you need is to start asking different questions and making small but significant shifts in how you spend your energy and attention. You don't need to burn your life down and start over. You need to examine what you're building and make sure it's actually serving your soul, not just your resume. Instead of asking, am I successful? Start asking, does this feel meaningful? Instead of asking, what will people think? Start asking, is this true to who I am? Instead of asking, what do I need to accomplish today? Start asking, how do I want to feel and who do I want to connect with? These small shifts in questioning can lead to profound shifts in living. The path out of emptiness isn't about adding more to your life. It's about subtracting the things that don't truly matter and creating space for what does. It's about having the courage to admit that the life you've built, while perfectly fine on paper, might not be the life that actually nourishes your soul. And that's okay. That's not failure. That's wisdom. It takes more courage to admit something isn't working than to keep pretending it is. If you're sitting with that hollow feeling right now, I want you to know something. Your emptiness is not a character flaw. It's not ingratitude. It's not weakness. It's a wake-up call. It's your deepest self reaching out, asking to be acknowledged, asking for a life that feels real and meaningful and connected. Your emptiness is actually evidence that you're still alive inside, that you still care about living a life that matters. And yes, responding to that call is uncomfortable. It means getting honest about what's not working. It means potentially making changes that feel scary. It means disappointing people sometimes or choosing meaning over comfort. But the alternative, continuing to live in that grey, empty space, is a far greater cost to pay. The cost of living a hollow life is higher than the cost of change. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You don't need to figure out your entire purpose today, but you can start by acknowledging the emptiness instead of pushing it away. You can start by asking yourself the harder questions. You can start by creating small moments of genuine connection with yourself and with others. You can start by doing one thing each week that feels meaningful, even if you're not sure why. Progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires intention. The life you're living might be fine, but you deserve more than fine. You deserve a life that feels alive, a life where you're not just going through the motions, but actually present for the moments. A life where you feel connected to yourself, to others, and to something that matters, that life is possible. Not perfect, not without challenges, but genuine and full in a way that makes the emptiness fade. It's a life where you feel like you're actually living, not just existing. So if you've been feeling this way, stop judging yourself for it. Instead, thank that feeling for showing up. It's trying to guide you somewhere real, somewhere meaningful, somewhere that feels like home. And that journey, difficult as it might be, is exactly what will fill the void that achievement never could. The emptiness isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of a more authentic one. You're not broken for feeling empty when life is fine, you're awake, and that's the first step toward building a life that actually feels like living. So take that step, honor the emptiness, listen to what it's telling you, and then slowly, intentionally, start building a life that fills you up from the inside out, because you deserve to feel alive, not just adequate. You deserve to feel connected, not just comfortable. You deserve a life that means something, not just a life that looks good from the outside. And that life is waiting for you on the other side of this emptiness.